I can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you so
I
much.
already know a little bit, but I'm just gonna
Well, we'll see
highly.
what goes in 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
8 minutes is a short time, but
That's why we have a facilitator who is going to help us to really. Oh, beautiful! The YouTube looks nice.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I already know a little bit, but I'm just gonna.
Well, we'll see what goes in 8 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Eight
now
minutes is
I
a
need
short
to
time.
mute one part. That's why we have. So what do I mute? Okay, do I mute the YouTube, right? One of the videos had to be muted.
Yes, put your video, the YouTube on mute, so it doesn't record echo. I mean,
Okay, good. Whew. Where do we begin? Hello, ladies. It is March 8th, International Women's Day. But above all, it is the day for the bold, brave, and beautiful woman to come out and play, come out and shine. My name is Bridget O. Michaels, and it's a pleasure to have all of you. And what gives me the kicks that makes me so excited is that most of you in the room don't know each other. Well, some of you do. And even if you think you know each other, but maybe just on a peripheral view. And so that's why this year's Bold, Brave, and Beautiful Woman is so interesting, because I get to be one of the only people who knows everyone in this room, except one person. But today, she's become my very bestie. I'm sorry, Regina, she's taken. That's Kimberly Foster. Because Kimberly, well, my daughter's name is Kimberly, so you're taken. Now, why Bold, Brave, and Beautiful Woman? Pause, just hold that thought. If you're watching live, you're watching this recording, I want you to hold that thought. We'll get there. But before we do anything, if you know Bridget O. Michaels, I dedicate the first hour to the Almighty God, because I am God's girl. If there's any label you want to put onto me, always refer me as God's girl or woman of God. I'll take that above anything any other day. And so we are going to pray. And who best? I'm going to call on my sister, my friend, Michelle Gibson, all the way from, I'm not going to say it so that I don't give away her story, but all the way from, okay, she's going to lead us in opening prayer. Take it away, Sis Michelle.
All right, beautiful ladies, let us pray. Father God, we just come before you first, thanking you for being our God and being none other than the great brand overall, designer of all things. Thank you for these amazing, beautiful sisters that you've gathered here today. Thank you for the brains behind it, Bridget O. Michaels. Father, today, as we share our story, as we show up vulnerable, as we show up ready to bear our hearts, to encourage another sister, let us know that you are in our midst, that you are here to turn things around for our good. Our journey of our life has brought us together as sisters. And Father, we say thank you for each and every amazing, beautiful woman that you've clothed with supernatural knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, for them to be the light that shine today and always. May what we share today bring you honor, bring you glory, bless everyone in their hearing. And more importantly, let us honor you with everything we think, say, and do. And thank you to Bridget O. Michaels, Regina, Billy, and for those on the team that has made today, this honoring day, possible. In the mighty name of Jesus, your son. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. If you agree, just say amen. Thank you so much, lady, for that beautiful prayer. And now, before we move on again, I want to remember someone. These days, you know me, I'm a vulnerable leader. So vulnerable leader, when the tears come, they just come. Because you know what? When your heart is full, the eyes leak. Last year, this same day, same time, we had another table of 8 wonderful ladies. And I got acquainted with one lady that I had met all the way in Virginia, because I do government contracts as well. And that's how I met her, myself and Marlene and Nishaya and Billy and Regina. We do the same things. And so I met her in that space, and we happened to be sitting on the same seat. We bonded. She told me she's in Atlanta. And I say, oh, I'm always in Atlanta like 4 or 5 times a year, but I live in Seattle, Washington State. And so when I wanted to host the first virtual summit for the 8 for 8, I reached out. In fact, I just made the call on a Zoom call, and they all reached out to me. She reached out to me. December 8th, I still have it on my phone. She sent me a text message. Oh, woman of God, pray for me. I'm going in for surgery. I said, oh, done. I'll start praying. December 11th, I sent her a text message. She responded. Then I prayed over a voice note I sent to her. She only liked it. December 12th, I didn't hear anything. December 13th, I didn't hear anything. Then I was busy for my nonprofit. I always host a virtual workshop to raise money to send home to feed people over Christmas. So I was preparing for that. And then she had texted me on December 11th that, oh, the surgery was successful. She had the surgery. And if she feels better, she will just come into Zoom to listen in. I said, okay, that would be nice. Then boom, I didn't I will be praying into the messenger. I will send text message and I don't get any response. December 24th, I opened Facebook, and the first rude shock that I got was this big thing that says, oh, I just want to let you know my mom passed away early hours of the morning. I was devastated. To me, that was a big blow. For a good 1 hour, I just couldn't take myself out of the chair. I couldn't do nothing. It was later when I found myself, and then I texted a couple of friends to ask, okay, is that true? And they said, yes, it was true. She's gone home to be with the Lord. So I want us to just take a minute to remember Ladonna Porter. She had 2 boys, 2 beautiful, 2 healthy, strong men. And I just want you, whatever you will love, whatever amount of love that you pour on your own children, I want you to pour on those boys right now for just 30 seconds to 1 minute. Just send them love. And we all agree, amen, amen. And that's so, from then, I'm going to declare this event open, and I don't have anything to say again. So I'm going to stay mute and give it away to our queen, Miss Regina McKenzie. Miss Regina McKenzie, when I told her that I was hosting the second summit, she said, no, Bridget. You're not going to be the one to facilitate this year and still be among the 8 bold, brave, and beautiful women. I said, really? How's that? She said, because I want the world to know the kind of woman you are. I want the world to see that you're a woman who is selfless, who is not afraid to let people share her space. I said, okay. She said, the final one, she said, I want the world to know that you're that woman who loves to give other women flowers. You show them off, in your stage. You don't mind. I said, okay. She didn't need to convince me anymore. I said, okay, yes, fine. I get it. Take over. And that's why we have Regina facilitating this conversation for us today. So we say thank you to Regina. But just in case you were not in the room and you are hearing me for the first time, I want you to give Regina grace. She lost a very dear one today. But she has proven above everyone else that she has earned the title of the bold, brave, and beautiful woman. When it's time for my story, I will tell you how that name came about many years ago. So over to you, Queen Regina McKenzie.
Oh, well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. I am thrilled and excited to be able to facilitate and speak to you ladies. The Bold, Brave, and Beautiful Women Summit, our 8 on 8. So let's dig in and get to know you all. 1 second, I lost my little screen here. First, I want to thank first I want to take a moment to thank you for being here, for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and giving us your energy today. Because as we all know, we could be somewhere else handling something else. We had to say no to something to be here today. But in honor of Women's International Day, this is more than just a call. It's a celebration of who we all are, what we've overcome, and where we're headed. Each of you brings something unique to the table, and today is about lifting each other up, learning from one another, and having a little fun while we do it. So I'm going to ask you all to get comfortable, be open, get ready to dive into some amazing stories. I can't wait to hear what each one of you have to share. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. Now, as she mentioned, I have been practicing your name, so please forgive me in advance, but I think I got it, okay? Dr. Amaka Ife-Dua. You are up, lady. Let's hear from you. How did I do first?
Yeah, that was close enough. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for the invitation, Bridget. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to share space with you all, all lovely women. And I'm really looking forward to hearing all your stories and just gaining from your energy, gaining from your wisdom, gaining from your experiences, just as I'm about to share mine. And I have to keep the clock close to me because I've been known to go on. And then when Bridget said 8 minutes, I'm wondering what part of my story do I get to share in 8 minutes? Because you go through life sometimes and you feel like you've been through so much. You've had to live through so much. You've had to pick yourself back up. And if you have to tie that up and put it in 8 minutes, you're wondering, okay, what part is even more meaningful? What part of my story should I be sharing to leave that lasting impression for that young woman out there? That is the woman I want to speak to. I want to speak to that young woman who is just starting her life and figuring it out and feeling like maybe it's overwhelming and maybe it's not possible, like her dreams are not valid. So I'm just going to kind of piggyback and forth from my earlier days up till now, just to tie it up together to come up with one whole story as how I became the Dr. Amaka that I am, that can be invited to come and share space with all of you wonderful ladies to be like a source of inspiration for someone else. All right. In case you're wondering where my beautiful accent is from, it's from Nigeria. I'm Nigerian, right? A very proud Nigerian for that matter. And then I grew up in Nigeria and I went to school in Nigeria for my bachelor's degree, for my master's degree. But before that period, I had graduated high school. And just like every young girl, you graduate high school, you have all your hopes and dreams. You believe that, oh, from this age to this age, I would be in the university getting my bachelor's degree. At this age, I should be getting a master's. We all have it mapped out in our heads. It feels like you have a perfect picture of how your life should be. And then life always has its own curveballs. I finished high school and I began to try to get into the university. First year, wrote the entrance exam, rejected. Okay, people encourage you. You are still young, don't worry. Try again, no problem. You try the second year, rejected. Third year, rejected. Fourth year, rejected. 5 years, rejected. And it's not that you are not meeting up. It's not that your grades are not good enough. It's just that you are from a humble family where being in Nigeria, Bridget will really understand about the nepotism and the whole connection of who you know versus what you know. And that becomes like a challenge that when you are born poor, you are very likely to die poor, more or less, no matter how hardworking you are. And that becomes like the reality of that young child who is just trying, who is just hoping that I'm trying to pull myself from the bootstrap and get away from these humble beginnings and make something for myself. But then eventually, after 5 years, I was accepted into the university. Voila, good news. And then it's almost like another disappointment. I always wanted to go into school to read pharmacy. And now I get handed admission into plant science and technology. I don't know what that is. When I went into to check, and then I realized that I've been offered admission into plant sciences. I don't know what that is. But of course, I did not even have the luxury of refusal because I have 5 years unaccounted for in my life. I have 5 years that had gone by of just trying to get into the university. I jumped right into the university with that despair and unhappiness, more or less, because this is not what I wanted. But serendipity, God being so kind, grace, I end up meeting a mentor who tells me, you have all of this potential. There is so much you can do with this course. All you have to do is to try and be the best. Whatever it is you're doing and you are the best at it, you make a name for yourself. And I was able to buy into that vision. And I went from that girl who did not know what she wanted, who did not know if she had anything to offer, to finishing as the overall best in the university of more than 20,000 students. And that was the beginning of my journey towards charting a path for myself, towards saying, I can, and I will, and I'm going to be able to show others that they can too. And then I went on to get a master's degree. Then the next thing is try to come to the United States for grad school. There's a lot of story there, but we are all tying it in 8 minutes. Then I just have to give you highlights, right? I come into the United States for my PhD. I started in the spring of 2022, all by myself. I do not have anybody here with me, so I did not come with family. I'm just here by myself in the United States to get a degree. Finally feeling like, oh, finally, I've gotten away from all life struggles. All I have to do now is to study hard and be a great student and get this fancy American degree, and I'll be all set for life. Well, life has its own challenges, right? I'm here in the United States in 2022, the same year of starting my PhD, and just a couple of months in, I'm diagnosed with cancer. I'm by myself. Nobody is coming. There is no hope that anybody is coming. I'm more than 6,000 miles away from home. I have to go through a cancer diagnosis. I have to go through surgery. I have to go through recovery all by myself. And in those moments, people have asked me so many times, it took me a while to be able to share this story, but after I've shared it, people have just, one question that has been asked me repeatedly is, how did you keep going? How did you not give up? What kept you in those moments? And I've taken the time to think about it, and I realized that the only way I could have pulled through that journey, the only way I pulled through was that somehow I was able to convince myself that this was just a chapter of the story. I was able to just convince myself that I did not have the luxury of giving up. Like, what am I going to do at this point? My life has been a roller coaster of rejections and delays and struggles and just keeping on and hoping. And finally, I'm here, I'm by myself, and I'm dealing with cancer. And I remember, following up after my surgery, going back to classes and trying to recover, I always told myself, just keep going, just keep going. It's just a chapter in the story. This is not the end of the story. This is just going to be a chapter that you would share as an inspiration for someone. Your life will become a blueprint that would help other people to not give up on their own journey. I was able to get that surgery. Recovery was brutal, but I did recover. After losing 60 pounds, I regained it, and I kept on. I was able to finish my PhD 1 year earlier than is typical. And that is why I take it so precious in my mind to say, I introduce myself as Dr. Amaka, because I know the pain and the tears that went into that journey. I do not take it for granted at all. I know it was just that moment in your life where you feel like there was no way out for you. But if you just held on long enough, if you just trusted God, if you just trusted yourself, if you just leaned on whatever support system was around you, you could just make it through. So that has been my story as a person. And I was able to finish that degree. And along the journey, I realized that it's not enough to have this story. I have to find a way to also elevate other people. I have to find a way to give space for other women, to give them the opportunity to just say, you are enough. You can just keep going. You don't have to give up on life, because adversity would always be there. We just have to reach a point where we realize that adversity is part of life's journey. Yours may not be cancer. It may just be something else. But when those adversity come, have you built up your resilience for those days of adversity such that you don't fall on the way? That when those adversity hit you, you don't just give up on life and say, oh, poor me, this has happened to me. This should be the end of my story. So I guess just to tie my talk together, and I'm just going to leave this word of encouragement for anyone who will be listening to me later on, to say, when you catch hell, don't hold on to it. And when you're going through hell, don't stop. Just keep running, just keep going. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, but sometimes you just have to go through that tunnel to get to the light. I think that's all the time I have. thank you very much for the opportunity to just share these snippets of my story with you. And I hope it encourages you to never give up on your life. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was an amazing story. Thank you for taking the time to share with us and be vulnerable with us. You truly have a heart of a fighter, right? So where you are today, you mentioned that it took you a while to share your story. What are you working on currently moving forward? Like, what are we looking forward to today? You got the rejection, you say the 5 times, you feel like, to me, it's like, oh, she won, she got the gold now. But there's always more. So what's the next step? What's more for you at this point?
Okay, thank you again for the opportunity to add just a little bit of that. All right, I was actually I'm the founder of Scholar Up Mentoring Academy. That is an academy that is going to be a year old very soon. So I'm so proud of that. I've been able to keep it going. So I started that even before I had completed my PhD. And the whole goal of that academy is targeted towards professionals, really. It's I have like monthly programs, and the whole goal is to try to give the professionals the opportunity to elevate themselves, to build their personal brand, to realize that if you don't show up and say this is the value you carry, nobody is going to do it for you. So that is something I've been working on, and I continue to work on it. And I think that is how Bridget knows me, right? Because she sees me always posting on LinkedIn. That is really how she knows me. We've never really gotten to connect even closer than that, but somehow we've passed each other in those spaces.
Audio rooms.
And in audio rooms, really. So my academy is something that I've continued to work on, which is just tailored towards supporting professionals, to give them the spaces to show up and build their personal brand, and for them to even understand how to do it. And then on the professional side of things, I said I graduated in December. I moved on to a job, right? So I work in a nonprofit right now, trying to support communities to eat healthy food and just do a lot of community work, which is just in line with everything that I've always wanted to do and everything that I enjoy doing. So going forward, you still keep seeing Scholar Up Mentoring Academy. If you're not connected to us on LinkedIn, you totally should. And then, we just do our programs trying to help professionals and also aspiring graduate students like myself, people who want to come to graduate school. We give them the resources and the support. And that's really been my passion project. And I'm so passionate about it. And, I have a lot of fun just having so many people so far. More than close to 500 people have gone through my program from more than 15 different countries in the world. So it's something I'm really proud of, that I'm able to have that monthly program that people can just come in and learn professional development, professional branding, and we just keep it going. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for the share. Greatly appreciate it. So I feel like I feel very moved by your story, and I thank you for sharing that with me. Well, with us, with the world. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move to our next speaker. And I believe she has a great story to share with us. Miss Billy, you'll be up on the mic for your 8 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry,
We can hear you.
Excuse me, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Can
you.
I cut in, a bit, because I believe that
Yes.
if we go through like this, we're not going to be able to answer, talk with everyone. Within the 8 minutes, give them the first 3 minutes to talk a little at the intro, and then throw in the questions in between. It will even help them to be aligned, so that everybody get to go around the first set, so that if there's more time, then you can ask us more questions again. Do you all agree with me on that, ladies?
Absolutely. I don't think every woman on the call is going to be able to go as long as Dr.
Yeah.
Right. So Billy's probably over there like, hey, I'll give somebody 5 of my minutes. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Okay, go ahead, Miss Billy.
All right. Well, thank you. It was very nice meeting all of you. And thank you, Dr. Amaka, for sharing your story, and that you're going through hell to keep on going. Very resonates with me and my story, because you just got to keep pushing through. So My name is Billy Welchman, and I'm originally from Wyoming, a small town of Cokeville, Wyoming, on the western side of the state. And I am a survivor. I am a survivor of a school bombing. I'm a survivor of abuse, and I'm a survivor of life in general, because it's always kind of throwing curveballs at you. I'm also a military spouse and an amazing husband of 25 years. It's been kind of crazy. It's hard to believe it's been 25 years, but it's been awesome. A mother of two amazing men and a daughter-in-law as well, and a grandmother of three. So it's been awesome being able to share with that. And I'm also a mother of a soldier now. So, which is a whole new different aspect. You know, it's difficult going through as a military spouse, and now I'm experiencing it as a mother, and it's completely different. So there's been that, and I'm also an entrepreneur. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm actually now in Florida, loving this warm weather compared to where I used to come from Wyoming, of the cold and the wind. And it's so nice to be able to come here in Wyoming or in Florida and just kind of enjoy the rays. So I told you I'd keep it kind of short. I know.
All right, Billy. Well, let me ask you something. You've given us a breakdown of, different roles that you play in your life and different things that you've been through, which, if you could share with us, what would you say is one of the most defining moments in your life that has shaped you into who you are today?
There's been a lot of defining moments over my life that shaped. Each one has a different deal. So I see myself as being very resilient to a lot of things, and I think a lot of that resiliency comes from surviving a school bomb when I was 6 years old. And I was one of 150 of us, if I remember right. We all survived. And but that's where my resilience started, because it was a long, hard road after that of healing from those injuries, not only physically but also mentally. And it's still been an ongoing journey for myself. So it's built that resilience along the way. And then also being a military spouse, you have to be really resilient as well, of going through military life and the changes and the things that happen, and navigating those as well. And then I did forget to mention too that I'm also a mom of a special needs child as well. So going through all of that, him being born at 30 weeks, which is a month and a half early, and having a lot of issues as well, and as he's grown up too. So that's taught me different resilience as a way, and in different areas and different aspects too, because it's not just different things. You build resilience, it shapes you, and each moment kind of shapes you. And so that's kind of how it's come to be how I am today, is for that.
Okay. So during your journey as the military wife, right? Did you were you a not just sorry, were you a stay-at-home mom, or did you work at the same time as you were caring for your special need child and actually working at the same time? How are you actually balancing those roles?
So I was working as well. Not all the time. There were some times I was able to stay home. It just depended on the situation. The first until they actually got into kindergarten, I was able to stay home most of the time. I was able to do part-time work and be able to stay home and take care of them and the needs, and to be able to help transition them over to school. That was a challenge with him going to school. Little story of he was starting kindergarten. We were putting him on a bus, and he didn't understand that you had to get off at certain stops. Thankfully, he was going to a school. He ended up getting off at the wrong school several times. And thankfully, I had a flexible enough job at the time and part-time to be able to be there for him for that. And through those first few years until both our kids were actually fully in school, and then I were able to go to work full-time.
Okay, and so what are you doing? What are you doing today now that they're grown and you've turned into a grandma of 3? What are you working on self today? Because I know raising those kids, sometimes you can like lose your identity because that's all you're doing at that point. So
Mhm.
now that they're out the house, your grandma, you and husband are enjoying your 25 years. What are you doing right now with yourself?
So it's interesting you say that there's your identity revolves around your kids, and then after they are grown and gone, and you're trying to figure that piece out. So we're still in the process of figuring that piece out. It's been awesome though, being able to just my husband and I, but it's been that change of figuring out who we are, what we're doing. I started my own business 4 years ago, and I've been doing that and working towards that piece of it, and then just enjoying life down here, trying to uh, all the different hobbies we're able to do, and still learning to figure out who we are now. So still a journey.
Still a journey. Yeah, life is definitely always a journey. Like soon as we think we have it figured out, guess what? Here goes something new that you got to work through and figure life out at that point. Well, Billy, thank you for taking the time to sit in with us. I know you have not been feeling well the last couple of days, but you mustered up the energy to get on this call. So everyone, let's give her a round of applause and thank her for her energy. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and move on to our next speaker, which that is going to be the wonderful Marlene. Miss Marlene.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on. Ms. Bridget, thank you for hosting this wonderful summit. When you sent me the invitation, I could not be on here with you, especially with our beautiful, with all the other ones who are formerly have been the original OGs here, and I will do anything for Ms. Bridget. My name is Marlene Paul. I am the founder of Ilaram Creative Solution and also the founder of Rose of Alpha Omega, the nonprofit. And and I'm located in South Florida, daughter of immigrants, entrepreneurs also who brought us here. So we're able to have a wonderful life and just have a better life, but that they would not have been able to give to us if we were in Haiti. And a military spouse also, and a mother of a energetic 10-year-old. So I am very excited just to be here and just share about a little bit about my story about how I become an entrepreneur. And this has just been a journey for me. It's not easy, but by the grace of God, I'm here and I'm doing all that He has called me to do. So I don't know if I have to just do the introduction and then you ask me questions. So I'm just going to pass it back to you.
Marlene, what are you more comfortable with?
And I prefer, I guess, the spontaneity of your questions is probably better than the nervousness.
All right. Well, Marlene, go ahead and share a little bit about, are you married? You got kids? Tell us about that first.
Okay. I am married. So I got married, well, it was 2011. So I met my husband doing mission work in Haiti. I did not plan to do that. It was a God thing. I was to the point where I said, God, you know what? I'm just going to stop looking for a husband because it was not happening to me. I was not in a good relationship. I said, I'm done. If you want me to be a nun, okay, I'm fine with that. And then after I had decided to go get my master's in divinity, I signed up for, I went to sign up for, talk to the counselor about my master's program and possibly going into my master's. And while I was walking into the parking lot, I got a call saying, hey, would you want to go to Haiti? We have some trauma counselors that are going to Haiti after this horrible flood and they need translators. Would you be willing to go with them? I'm like, well, I'm single. I have no kids. Of course I'm going to go. I'm not going to look for a man. So I just went there. I said yes to that. And I said yes. And I walked in and got advice for my master's program and said, hey, you know what? You are good to go for that. We love your story. We love that what you want to do with your master's and your nonprofit that you have an idea for. So I said yes to two things of just yes to God. Well, three things: yes to God, yes to going to Haiti, and yes to the master's program. Went to Haiti, met my husband from that 1 week. I met him. We were just friends, just talking. Came back and just continued talking from long distance. And by the time I finished my master's degree, I started my master's single. I was married with a kid.
Nice, nice. She
Yeah.
was like, I went to Haiti and I grabbed me a man by accident, y'all. It wasn't supposed to happen. But we're gonna have to talk offline because it was by accident over here too. I said yes to a trip and then came home with a husband. No more kids, got another kid. But that's a whole I digress. Let's
Yeah.
So when did you get your master's in, Marlene?
My master's is in divinity. Originally, it was supposed to be pastoral counseling for 2 years, and then after I said, let me just go for the whole thing. So 5 years of doing this intensive theological reflection in that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so weird because my undergrad is in business management and with a minor in visual arts. And then I decided, and I said, God, I don't want a master. I was like, oh, it's good. And he's like, well, you're going to go to this master. So I got this master. I don't know how those two tie together. It doesn't make sense because of business and ministry. It didn't make sense at that time. Mm-hmm. But recently, by looking at what I'm doing now, I see why he had me go through that route. Because, from doing my master's, my bachelor's to going to education as a teacher, and then being a theologian, in getting my master's, and then being to a point where, okay, now I'm starting a business, leaving teaching and starting a business and shepherding business women in my business. I know I'm talking about AI and branding, but at the core of it is I'm there ministering to these women, not saying with the Bible, but we're just saying with with what their need in their heart, and that's, I feel like that's what God's been showing me lately, that they're not drawn to the tool that you can show, to what you're sharing. They're drawn to the God in you and the way you present the work that you do. So
I love it, Marlene. I love it. God don't always show us everything at one time, right? It's always like take a little step, then take another step, right? So let me ask you this, and then I'm going to leave you alone. My one little question that I have for you is, what do you want to be remembered most for in your life?
That's a great question. One thing, I think the main thing is I want to be remembered for as a person that is a reflection of God's love in all I do. So whatever I do, I give it 100%. I make sure I take care of people. I love God. I love people. That's what I want to be remembered for. Like, that when they meet me, they see, I don't have to say Jesus in order for you to feel Jesus, that they'll feel within me. So that whatever I'm doing, I do it with excellence. I do it with care, with compassion, that they'll be able to feel the presence of God through me, through my work. When I leave all those legacies, that they will feel that in what I'm doing. So when I go into networking events, when I'm doing these workshops, I'm just making sure that I'm leaving it all on the table, that I did a work, and I so all my students say, well done, go, you did what you're supposed to do. You are a servant. You did reflect God's love to all that are around you.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing with us, Marlene. Beautiful story. Beautiful story. And speaking about, showing love at all times, right? And caring for others. I believe our next speaker, Miss Madeline, can definitely touch on that. Miss Madeline, welcome to the table, girl. Oh, I can't hear you, Matt.
Oh,
okay,
can
there
you hear
go.
me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, like I said, for the summit. I'm Madeline. I go by Maddie. A little bit about me so you guys can kind of know. I was born in New York City. I'm a proud Nuyorican. I moved back to Puerto Rico in middle school. And I just always see the world differently, guys. I have like a huge imagination. I'm really creative. I'm always looking for a way to solve problems. And I'm like a huge extrovert. Like I'll talk to anybody all the time. But a little bit about kind of like how my life transformed that pretty much I went to college. I did broadcasting. I produced, direct, and edit my own TV show. I ran that for 7 years. And then I've always fell in love with storytelling. I like to create and build connections. And then I took my passion. I said, you know what, I'm gonna do my online boutique. So I went ahead and I did that for a couple of years while I was still working for corporate America, still am as a litigation adjuster. And then COVID happened. So then I had to go ahead and, doors closed down. But life gets even more interesting. Life threw me a huge curveball when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, guys. You have no idea how that changed my life. I had to move him from Puerto Rico to Washington. And that was the hardest thing that I ever did, guys. Like, you have no idea. I was overwhelmed. I was exhausted. I felt like crying. I felt alone. I felt isolated. And this affected my entire family. And that's when I knew, like, I had to do something. And that's where I found my true calling. And now I'm at the part where we create, we do activities together. And then I'll just have you, Regina, ask me questions about that. But that's a little bit about me, like, I think in 2 minutes, maybe.
Great job, Maddie. So, being a caregiver, having to bring your father from Puerto Rico to Seattle, that is a huge journey. And I know that being a caretaker can, take a toll on you. And sometimes we forget about self. So share with us, how do you implement time for yourself?
Oh, that's huge. That's actually one of the big questions we get all the time is caregiver burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So how I see it is that I read a lot of books. I talk to a lot of caregivers. I'm part of the Alzheimer's Association. I help as a volunteer. But what I've noticed, the most important thing is if I don't have an oxygen as a caregiver myself, how can I take care of my loved one? So I'm really big now in asking for help. And I think that's the problem as caregivers. We do not ask for help. And if I feel that I'm on my end, I'll say, I can't right now because I have to take care of me. Does that make sense? So I delegate a lot. I will tell my sister, my husband, it's all about a community. We all talk like, what can we do to help us around? That's a huge thing when it comes to caregivers.
Okay. And you say that right now, if I heard you correctly, you're doing a lot of, I guess, like content creation, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this content creation that you're doing, is it sharing like your daily routine of being a caretaker? And is your dad in the content as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we actually share all of our content. I work at a corporate job still, so I'm working full time. So I show people what you can do when you have your loved one, how to keep your loved one engaged, how to keep them interact, sundowning, how to talk to them, right? We show real live information on what our life looks like when you care for one that has Alzheimer's and what resources you can do as a caregiver, right, to connect with other people. And my dad's on them all the time. He's in the videos, he talks. He even actually has a video where he says that he wants his information to be shared because he doesn't want anybody else to go through what he's going through. So it's just really nice what we get to do. What we get to do together.
Right. And I'm sure this is like a great bonding time for you guys as well, and something that you can, keep in your heart and keep it close to you at all times. Before we move on to our next person, I want to ask you this question real quick. With where you are today, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's your goals?
Oh, okay. Absolutely. So right now I'm actually working on launching my website. It's going to be like a one-stop resource hub for caregivers. But my big vision, like my big one, I want to have you know this, I want to open my memory care / daycare, want to be a place so I can, so our loved ones, that's what we call them, the ones that have Alzheimer's and dementia. It's like, I want to be a creative place to engage, a space where they feel like they have a purpose, where people don't feel alone. So I want to open my memory care and a daycare. That's my big vision.
Okay, well, don't forget what I had said to you when that
I
happened.
know, I
I
know, I
have to be
know,
at the ribbon cutting, y'all. I can
I
see it
know.
all in the front cutting the ribbon. What color is the ribbon gonna be? We gonna cut. Have you picked the color yet?
Oh, well, it gotta be purple.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you, Maddie, for sharing with us.
of course.
I'll be keeping an eye out to watch your content. All right. Now, a
Okay.
lot of us have, or a lot of you ladies have shared some stories of pressing on and resilience, strength, all of that. Just powerful stories. And I'm sure the next person up has a great story to share with us. Miss Michelle, you're in
Hi,
the spotlight.
yay! I'm so happy to be in the presence of these amazing ladies. I am from the beautiful country of the Bahamas. All right. So a little bit about me. So I put the light back in people's eyes, whether it's from them receiving their packages, goods and shipping logistics to the time they turn on their stove and they're able to cook for their families because they have propane gas, to the time they come to a new level of awareness during my speaking, training, and coaching. You see, I'm the CEO of a multiple number of businesses that I'm excited about that change the lives of people every day. And I always get excited because I love people. So, what about my story? So, I remember it clear as day. I've been married twice, people. I've been married. I did that so many times. I'm going to be on the south side of heaven with David and Solomon them. Don't worry about that. It's just going to be an amazing time. So, as I get into my story, so I remember it clear as day. And it was this beautiful Saturday. Have you ever had one of those days where everything just seemed to go so well? I mean, like you were like, whoo, this is a perfect day. Your hair looking good. The sun is shining. It's fabulous. It's a great day. And at the end of the day, you say, God, thank you for this amazing day. And then about 10 a.m., you get a call. And the call was like, Michelle, yeah, it's from a very good friend who's also the HR manager of a company. And she says to me, she said, are you alone? I said, no, I'm not alone. My husband is here. So she said, good. I'm so glad that he's there. And I was like, why? Well, we can't, he didn't make it. Well, who didn't make it? Oh, I don't know how to say this. DiMaggio didn't make it. What do you mean DiMaggio didn't make it? DiMaggio went to work. He was doing your IT, your. She's like, okay, Michelle, I want you to meet us at the dock. What dock? My son is supposed to be in Junkanoo. That's a festival here in the Bahamas. So I was like, okay, I'm coming. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm coming to this dock. So when I got to the dock, everyone is screaming, everyone is crying, everyone is just out of their minds. And I look over to the left and I see the paramedics working. And I'm like, okay, what are they working doing? And so as I walk through the crowd, somebody grabs me. And actually, a few people grabbed me. I said, no, just let me walk over to the paramedics. And they said, no, you can't walk to the paramedics. And I'm looking, and the police comes over, and he's like, you're the mom. And I said, yeah, I'm the mom of who? Who are you talking about? And I'm like, they're not letting me see anything. He'd be like, no, we can't let you see. So as I sat, and the paramedics completed what they were doing, I noticed this black bag. And it looks like the length of my son that they're picking up out of the boat. And the paramedics is taking all of the oxygen tanks, all of the things that they work, all of the shock treatment and everything. And they're saying he's gone. They were like, it's gone. It's gone. And as I looked over, I couldn't believe that my tall 6-foot only biological child lays in a black bag. I had sent him out walking in his green Jeep. What are you talking about? The reality of that day was the hardest thing. I wish it on no parent. I pray that no one ever experienced this. Because as the year went on, and I have three bonus children, and as I said, I married them a second time. And I remember one of my friends, as we went through the journey of preparing and doing his funeral and everything, and it was just unheard of. And I remember one of my friends whispering in my ear, and she said, "There's no name." And I was like, "What do you mean there is no name?" And she said, "There's never a name for if a child loses their parent, they're orphans. If a spouse loses if someone loses a spouse, there's a widow or a widower. But when a parent loses a child, there's no name because it's unheard of." And I looked at her with such dismay and this just couldn't believe it. So anyway, that entire rest of the year was a blur, and we went into the next year. And I remember going into my son's room, and I remember screaming out and saying, "For the love of God, what is this? What do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to do with this? The DiMaggio's gone. What do you want me to do? Because this can't be my story. This can't be it. This can't." And I remember God coming back to me, and I remember him saying, "Who says I made you for one purpose?" And I'd be like, "Oh, God, that can't be God talking to me. He loves me. He wouldn't, talk to me like that." And he said it again. "Who says, Michelle, that I made you for one purpose?" And it's really God. Some of us have to get it twice, hit side the head twice. I was like, "Okay, yes, you didn't make me for one purpose. So what else is there?" And over a series of time, God led me to raise three children who are now 24, 22, and 18, and start a number of businesses with my husband, and did a leadership course, did a leadership training for people, and put on a conferences for 5 years, and got involved in ministry. And when you thought your life was about raising a man that changed the world, when that is no longer there, you really have to come to a new place of who am I? And that's led me to the John Maxwell team, which led me to leadership, which led me to doing so many more amazing things, and meeting Bridget O'Michaels, who often coins this phrase. And she tells me, "Michelle, one broken dream is not the end of dreaming." So today, as I remember my son DiMaggio, Kristen Bryce, who was named after Joe DiMaggio, I must say, I thank God for the crazy turmoil of my life, because there's so many more things I could share and Regina could tell you. But I can truly say that my purpose have been birthed out of that loss for so many other amazing steps and journey of life, because every day, almost every month, someone would say to me, "Michelle, because of you, I can go on because I just lost my child." And, I am able to journey that out with so many women because I have journeyed that out. The no name description that you have when you lose a child can only come through encouragement of another woman or another parent. So I celebrate that life. He was 21, he would have been 30 now. 30, yeah. He would have been 30, 31 December 2nd, and I celebrate. But I can tell you the joy of the Lord is truly my strength. And I am so much, he works all things out for our good. And truly he has worked that the hardest thing out for my good. And so thank you, Bridget, for doing this. And like Ms. Paul and Amaka and so many people say, I couldn't say no. Sometimes I want to say no, but I couldn't say no because it's Bridget O'Michaels. And I know my story would help someone. So thank you.
Michelle, thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, anytime I hear you speak, I'm just so encouraged in awe of you. Okay. And I'm sure the other ladies and parents who had to go through that same horrific deal appreciate you for being there and that sounding board for them. My one question I have for you, right? Because you've had to press on through some of the hardest things that anybody could possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is a daily habit or routine that you have that keeps you grounded and your spirits uplifted?
Mm-hmm. The daily habit. That's interesting because every time every time something else hard happens, God gives me a song. You know, he gives me a song. Ladies, I have a song list out of this world. But one of the things he helps me to do every day is to say the scripture. I present my body holy and acceptable unto you, which is your reasonable service. So before these feet touch the ground, I am all about being your vessel of honor. And when we keep at the forefront of what is utmost important, I remember the scripture that I always say, only what is done for Christ will last, you know? And that is the joy, because while I dwell in my hard thing, someone else is experiencing something even just a little bit harder for them, because God has graced me for my season of what I am going through. And so someone else needs God's grace. So I have to show up as that vessel of honor. So I don't have a moment to say, I give myself 10 minutes to just cry and do whatever I got to do. And after that journey, I pray God's strength to just let me be his vessel of honor, like Miss Paul was saying, wherever he goes. And that's what keeps me my joy. I am truly can't wait, because I believe always that someone is waiting for me to become who I am, so that they could become who they are. So that requires to be strengthened and do it every day. So who's waiting on the other side for you to become fully who you were meant to be? And that is what keeps me going. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much again, Michelle, for sharing with us. We greatly appreciate it. All right. I believe we have next up on the agenda, Miss Nashaya.
Nashaya.
Nashaya. Hi, sweetie. How are you doing?
I'm awesome, Regina. How are you?
Good, thank you. Before you share your story, I just need to let you know your eyebrows are what's up, girl. I love them.
Thank you. You know we gotta shine bright.
Love them. Okay, go ahead and share your story with us, sweetie.
Yeah, so first, let me just say thank you so much, Bridget, for the opportunity to be on this stage with all of these amazing women. You know, some of them I already know who they are. I know how dope and amazing they are. So this was truly an honor when you reached out and asked, because I just had to say yes, because, you know, people big you up and I know how amazing you are. So thank you for this opportunity. But yeah, I'm Nashaya Richardson, and I am from New York, and no, not New York City, upstate New York. So if you ask a New Yorker, they think I'm really not from New York. However, I was born and raised in New York, and I am a financial wellness coach, and I am going to just really share my story about how I became a financial wellness coach, because so many people put me on this pedestal because they think, oh, she knows how to deal with money. She's really good with money, but they don't realize that, you know, for years I let money make decisions for me. And it was always decisions rooted in the need for approval, for security, for love, because I thought that if I gave enough, if I sacrificed enough, I'd be valued more. And what I realized was that in my pursuit to keep others happy, I was losing myself. And because of that, you know, had that belief, because I grew up believing that if you take care of people emotionally, financially, and mentally, you know, that was the price that you had to pay to be loved and accepted. And I kept telling myself over and over again, if I help them, they'll stay. If I cover it, they'll appreciate me more, right? And if I do more, you know, they'll really start seeing my worth. And that belief, it led me down a road of co-signing for cars that I didn't drive and being left with the payment, which led to repossessions on my credit report, maxed out credit cards that I could not afford to pay off, as well as taking out personal loans, you know, to maintain a lifestyle, because I wanted people to think I was doing well when really I was not. And, you know, I was really playing that role of superhero. And I was trying to take care of everyone except for myself. And it was also showing up in my professional life, because at the job, you know, I was that high achiever, the quick learner, the one who caught on to things really quickly. And, you know, I did get promotions because of that. But as I moved up, I was still earning less than my colleagues who were in roles that had fewer responsibilities than mine. And I was so stretched thin that my dreams weren't even, feeling like my own anymore. And if I can be honest with you, I actually didn't have any dreams because I was too busy proving myself to everyone, too busy, carrying that extra responsibility, too busy being that go-to person without the paycheck that really didn't match all the things that I was doing. And then even in my personal life, I was stuck in a relationship that wasn't growing and just hoping that one day it's going to get better and, just hoping that things wouldn't change. And I was exhausted mentally, emotionally, financially. And, there's always that turning point in life, right? Where we're like, oh, okay, this is where things start shifting. And for me, that was when I had applied for a supervisor position for my job. I had built up that courage because I was like, oh, I know I'm more than qualified. I have the skills, I have the experience, I have the work ethic. But there was one thing that I didn't have that was key in that moment, and it was a college degree. So even though I had all those other things, I was turned down because I didn't have a piece of paper that said I was worth being a supervisor. So, it made me upset, but it wasn't at them, it was at me. Because that's when I realized that, I was settling for everything in life, settling for less money, settling in relationships that drained me. I was settling in everything. And it was all because I wanted to prove myself to people. But you know what? They were never going to see my worth because I didn't see it for myself. So that's when, there's a shift, right? And I had to really say, no more settling. So from there, I found a job that paid me more for my worth, right? And it also positioned me for financial and professional growth to where I am now. I picked up a second job at the time because, it wasn't to impress anyone, but it was really to build up my savings, to pay off debt so that I could create financial security. I started the process of becoming a homeowner. I went back to school because you ain't gonna tell me I ain't got no degree. So I did go back to school, right? But it wasn't just to earn the degree, but it was to prove to myself that I was more than capable and that I had the power to rewrite my story. And I also started therapy, which is something that I don't think we talk about enough. But I had to do the inner work and start unpacking the habits and the beliefs that had me over giving and under receiving. And I walked away from that relationship that was no longer serving me. And I chose my peace, my growth, and my future so that I didn't stay stuck. And then because I made that shift to that new job, I found a friend who introduced me to a home-based business. And it opened my eyes to different ways of making money, freedom, opportunity. And because all I had known was work a job, earn a paycheck. And I wish I could tell you that I instantly became a millionaire, but nah, I suck, y'all. It's bad. My first business was in health and wellness and it flopped, right? Because I was out here selling shakes and skincare, like my life depended on it, but my heart really wasn't in it. And I really wasn't good at selling, if I'm being honest with you. But I did realize that, people were always coming to me, asking me money questions, Nashea, how do I fix my credit? Girl, how do I become a homeowner? What should I do with this tax return? And then that's when it clicked for me that, my gift wasn't in selling, it was working with people to build a healthier relationship with their money so that they can start thriving in life. And it's because what I learned is that when I got my money right, my relationships changed. And I stopped using money to keep people around me and people started pouring into me. And when I got my mind right, my confidence changed. And I finally set boundaries and started saying no. And man, no feels so good. It's coming from a good place, right? And when I finally put myself first, the quality of my life changed. And now I stand before you as an award-winning government contractor and financial coach, a speaker who has shared my story on so many stages, such as the Stiletto Brunch, the YWCA Empowerment Brunch, FinLit 518, 8 for 8, bold, beautiful, brave, Bridget's platform, right? A graduate of the Financial Coaches Academy, and earning my associate's degree with honors and student loan debt free, y'all. Yeah, we're not carrying that.
Love it.
Yes, the first homeowner of my mother's children and a mom who travels multiple times a year, builds wealth, and helps others do the same. But most importantly, I'm a woman who no longer settles. So
Okay.
go ahead. Yes.
No, I said, okay, the woman who
Yeah.
does not settle. Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So, I'm glad I had the opportunity to share my story because I know there are women here who are where I once was, and they're pouring into everyone else and leaving themselves empty. So maybe that's in a job that doesn't appreciate them. Maybe it's in a relationship that's holding them back. Maybe it's their finances. Maybe it feels like a mess and they don't really know where to start. But let me tell you this, you don't have to settle. You don't have to wait for permission to take up space or to demand more, create a life that honors yours, because the moment you decide that you deserve better, everything changes. And that's why financial wellness isn't just the side piece to this story, it's the foundation. Because when we take control of our money, we take control of our choices and we start making decisions from a place of confidence and not desperation. And we stop settling for less in a job, in a relationship, in our life, because we know that we can afford to walk away from what is no longer serving us. So financial wellness isn't just about the numbers, y'all. I promise you, it's truly about our self-worth, because the way that we manage our money reflects how we see ourselves, what we believe we deserve, and how we let others treat us. So I want you to recognize that you deserve stability, security, freedom, and without sacrificing yourself in the process. So if my story resonates with you at all and you're ready to step into financial confidence and stop settling, I want you to take one step today, just one, whether it's setting a boundary, prioritizing yourself, or getting real with your money, because some of us, we want to avoid it. I know, because really, when you start making money decisions that honor you, your values, your peace, your future, everything else in life follows. So I want you to make the decision today to choose you, because when you do, the possibilities are limitless. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story.
Love it, love it, love it. It was a nice story, beautiful story.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So before we let you go and move on to our next guest, who I feel like y'all are kind of in alignment, I can't wait for her to speak. Tell me really quick, what's the one thing that brings you joy today?
Oh, geez. I don't even know. Okay. I don't know. There's so many things. Okay. The one thing that brings me joy is having the opportunity to be in spaces like this with amazing women who are doing really amazing things in life. Because sometimes it's hard to find your people. And when you find them, it's really important that we hold on to them. But I've been really blessed to be in so many spaces like this with amazing women who are just doing so much to help not just themselves, but others.
Thank you. Thank you. Greatly appreciate you. All right. Well, I feel like the next one up is going to have like a similar story as I mentioned. Miss Kim, come on up and introduce yourself and share your story.
Hello, hello. So I'm Kimberly Foster. I am so grateful to be here. Just want to give some thanks to Bridget, some thanks to Regina for making it possible and sending out the invite. Truly, truly an honor to be on the stage with such amazing women. I didn't think that coming here tonight that I would be ministered to so much, but I guess it makes sense, when you're surrounded by women who stand up in their boldness and are not afraid to take up space, and share their story. Your obedience is, the key to someone else's blessing. So just being obedient and saying yes to being here, I think is, answer enough for God being able to use me for that next person to just hear and to see. So I am a wife, I am a mom of two, have an 18-year-old, a bonus baby, and I have a 6-year-old. So it's literally like, the opposite end of spectrums in the household here. But I wouldn't have it another way. I absolutely love it. I am a leader in my spaces at work and things like that. I am a financial strategist. So I'm really big. I really connected and resonated a lot with your story, Nashia. in reference to, just the financial wellness space, because that's a big part of what I do. I am really dedicated to helping to empower women, especially within the Black community, just to change their mindset around how they see money, how they see finances, to be able to open up, take control of that, to be able to generate, wealth for their family, for their generations, to just block and stop negative, dynamics as it pertains to money, because it's just a lot of things that we were not taught, and we're behind the 8 ball. And it's just like when I had access to information and I started making shifts and changes within my life, I didn't want it to stop there. I was just like, I have to share this with other people so that it doesn't just stop at my household, but it really impacts the community as a whole. Because when we all can compete in spaces and stuff, that's what makes the world better. All of us, we bring something unique to the table, and it's just like we're stopping ourselves when we're trying to show that we have something and not really have something. So I'm really big about, mindset and creating an actionable plan on how to shift and change what you have to getting what it is that you want and truly living, not just existing, but truly living. So I'm passionate about equipping, other women with that. And I say women because I just feel like women are the epicenter, of the community and stuff, because it starts right there with that mom, with that woman who's going to share that information with their child, who's going to then start their family, and that's going to just trickle down. Or it's going to be that influence that they have with their spouse or their partner to be able to say, babe, let's think about this. Let's talk about that. Like, we shift the game. Like, we are that backbone support of the family. So it's like, if I can touch that one woman, that mom, then it's just like, it's game over. And I can just reach and touch so many other people. So that is where my heart truly lies. I'm a hustler, a go-getter. I keep on going. So I'm just like, I need to connect with my sister to figure out how I cannot continue to pour out to others so much and really put that oxygen mask on myself so that I'm not giving, and then whatever's left, I'm grabbing up for myself. It's just like, we're supposed to give from our overflow. And it's just like, oftentimes, because my heart is so full and big and I want to be able to do all the things that I'm called to do, I'm not giving from my overflow. I'm just pouring a cup out to everybody. And everybody's going to take, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I'm kind of, the remnants of it all. But I love what I do. And I'm just like, as long as there's breath in my body, I'm going to keep on doing it. But sometimes God set me down and it's just like, sleep, rest, So that's just a little bit about me. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to yield. You can ask your questions, Regina.
So, Kim, I don't know if I heard you say exactly what you do. Right. I heard you share about how you are always giving and just leaving a little bit for yourself. And I know, our one-on-one conversations, that's something that you kind of battle with, right? But if you could share with the ladies what you're working on right now and how you're giving back to the women.
Absolutely. So I'm a financial strategist. So I help women with shifting their mindset and creating an actionable plan to be able to gain clarity, to write that vision, and to step into their power to get what it is that they want. One thing that I'm working on right now is building a community where women could be able to come into that space and be able to share, to talk about finances, to talk about wealth building, to talk about being the bosses that we're meant to be. So that's where I'm at right now, and building that up to create that safe space.
Okay. So we're in the process of building it up. 5 years from now, where are you going to be, Kim?
5 years from now, I don't think I'm going to be working my job anymore. I think that I'm going to be really leaning in to the business stuff that I'm doing right now, and serving more, and creating a way to replace the income from my W-2 paying job to continue to serve while also being sustaining my lifestyle.
Okay. And with you shifting from getting out of that 9 to 5, right? There's some people who say, leave the job today. Then there's some who say, continue that 9 to 5. What do you think makes you balance in between the two? Like, and no pressure. I'm just asking the question, why do you think it will take up to like the 5 years? Because you said it hesitantly. Like, I think in the next 5 years, I won't. So what's the thing holding you back from taking the jump?
Because I absolutely love my job. I love the work that
Okay.
I work with young people who have been involved with the delinquency system and being
Mm-hmm.
shift their mindset. But more importantly, I have the ability to alter and change like policy and law as it impacts these young
Mm-hmm.
people, how we treat them, how we, how they maneuver through the system. So that is something that really pulls on my heartstrings. And because
Mm-hmm.
of it, I think I never really looked at, I need to quit my job today to go do this over here. I think that's an easy move when you hate your job or you hate the work.
Mm-hmm.
But when you feel passionate about it and it gives you joy, it's hard to make that separation. But it's just like I say 5 years from now, I'm likely not going to be in that space because although it does give me joy, my worth is not recognized. I'm not paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I can still do the work and not be within that job to do it. I just have to create the path or find someone who's already done it and follow that path to be able to still do what God has called me to do what my passion speaks to without having to do it necessarily in the current vehicle that I'm in.
Gotcha. Understood. And I'm sure once you start doing, your own thing, the 5 years from down the line, you can always, reach back and grab them kids that you love, right? Because you can always still pour into them without having to be in the space that you're in today. But I totally understand that you find joy in it and you're able to work on the laws that change things. So big ups to you. Thank you for joining us today. And I'll let you go ahead and get out the hot seat, honey. And Miss Bridget, who loves the seat, she is up.
I can't believe you just said that.
Why can't you?
But you really done a very good job all day today. I must celebrate you, girl. You just
Thank you, honey.
took it away. Yes. Hey, everyone. There's something I want to say before I go into my session. When all the ladies were sharing, is something resonate with you that make you want to say, me too? Just listening to another woman's story in here and like, oh, me too. That similarity, that familiarity, it's what makes your story sell. Just in case you're still wondering about the bold, brave, and beautiful woman, the 848 table, this is what it is. Share your story so that someone else can be able to be empowered from it. Thank you so much. That was Michelle who said that. Thank you. So why am I not spotting? Why can't I spot myself? Marlene?
I think you already spotted.
I'm here. What? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not you. I'm talking Marlene.
Oh, Marlene.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, that's fine. She said I'm already spotlighted. She told me that. So I can go ahead. Thank you. Whew. Bridget, we lost Karen. Those 4-letter words, even as I sit here with you ladies today, I could still hear it loud and clear. January 8th, 2002, I lay my identical twin babies to sleep at 8 a.m. in the morning in Nigeria and West Africa. I step out of the house to go deliver building materials to the builders who were building our dream home on Lagos Island. In less than 2 hours, I was called back to the house that there was something going on. For me to get home, and I was told by my ex-husband that those were his words. Bridget, we lost Karen. The same 2 babies I carried in my womb for 8 months. I had to carry my breast on my hands when I'm walking. I couldn't wrap my head or my ears, anything around that. And the worst part of it all is that as I speak to you today on this Zoom and this summit, and you who is watching, I never got to see my baby in death. I never got to see or know or learn where she was buried, because my ex-husband and his family told me a woman is not allowed to see her baby in death. And so I do not have a gravesite to go close the chapter or go set flowers to. As if that was not enough. I never told you that I went through an 18-year of domestic abuse and violence in my marriage. And so my mission to empower women on a larger scale started when the judge declared my marriage over, April of 2017, when everything in my life was shattered. My picture frame was dusty. And I found myself, like thousands of other women, we find themselves disillusioned, alone, brokenhearted, and abandoned. I definitely did not want to raise up my children alone. And divorce was never in my life plan when I was dreaming it all up. But you know how society always tell you, oh, don't worry, just tough it up, go through it. But do you realize the same society never ever tells you what the go through it really means? And so you end up going through it and you come out on the other end in pain, frustration, bitter, angry. In fact, you have resentment against yourself and it's against a whole lot of other things. And the worst part of it all begins with the unforgiveness. And before you know it, you are screwed up with all of this bunch of bitterness. And that was when I said, no woman deserves to go through what I have gone through. And so you keep wondering, why is Bridget always giving women flowers? Why am I the one always pushing women out there in the stage? Because you know what? I am an abundant queen. I don't mind sharing. As long as it's going to put another queen into the limelight, but I know my boundaries. You don't take me for granted. I will do it again and again. And so now I help other women go through it. And that's why the Bold, Brave, and Beautiful Woman started in 2019. It was an in-person summit because I got married February 14th, 1998. And so I am that woman. I have learned how to turn bitter situation around for profit and for my good. And so I sit back like, why am I going to be moping around on Valentine's Day when I can be empowering another woman's life? And so the first Brave and Bold Woman Summit happened here in my city, and it was a success. And I made a lot of friends, which till today, I still have those connections. And when COVID happened, I was like, okay, how can I pivot this into the online world to be able to still serve other women? And last year, I was in my government contracts mentorship, and my coach asked us, well, what are you going to do? What's one thing you're going to just do? It's Women's International Day. What's one thing you're going to do? And right there on the chart, I just dropped it there. I'm going to host my first 8for8 virtual summit. And I did. Ladies, my name is Bridget O. Michaels. I am the founder of God Fix Your Crown, the author of that book, where actually I talk about money, mindset, and man, which is your primary connection so that you can fix your life. Because you know what? It's time to stop taking permission from money before you spend it. It's time to stop taking permission from people before you show up at the table. And that's why you are here today, to be able to stand on the table, sit on the table, stand in boardrooms, in the marketplace, and speak your truth with authenticity without nobody holding you back. Thank you so much, Regina, for a beautiful job. I hold my peace.
I love that. I hold my peace. I ain't heard that one. Miss Bridget.
Thank you, honey.
So my question for you is, if you can pick one word to describe yourself, what is that word?
Okay, that's hard.
Not for you.
But I'm just going to quickly take it back to my mentor, who loves me, cares for me, and watch over me like a cock. He calls me powerhouse. Bridget is the dynamo. So I will pick dynamo over anything else.
Okay. Tell me that was hard. You came up with that quick.
Well, don't you open the first page of my book, God Fix Your Crown, you will see that Bridget is a dynamo.
Love it. Love it. Well, ladies, what an incredible conversation we've had today. I want to take a moment to thank each one of you for showing up, for sharing your stories, and for pouring into this space with your wisdom, experience, and true self. This was more than just a discussion. It was a celebration of each of your journey, your resilience, and the power we hold as women. And as we wrap up, I encourage each of you to take something from today and carry it forward, whether it's a new perspective, spark of inspiration, or simply the reminder that you are never alone in this journey. Let's continue to support, uplift, and champion one another, not just this month, this day, but always. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your presence. Bridget, shall you close us out, love?
Yes, it's not time to close that. Yes, we're going to take questions from their audience.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So
you're right. Let me see if
it was 5:30. It was 90 minutes for us to share our stories because, you know, hearing stories from 8 women is. But I think we can take the first 3 minutes, remaining 3 minutes, to ask Dr. Amaka, because I think there's something critical that she missed out when she was sharing, and I want to give that back to her flowers because, so Regina, if you can ask her one question so that she can share that really, because this lady, when she said, you can imagine, I'm Nigerian. She traveled all the way from Africa. She had a surgery in the US. Nobody. When she says nobody,
by herself.
She means nobody.
By herself.
So, one question, and then we'll take questions from the audience.
Okay. While you were by yourself, what do you think was the one thought that kept coming up in your mind?
Oh, well, Bridget, thank you. I was very conscious of your 8 minutes. And so I'm like thinking, what do I fix in 8 minutes? You know, how do I put all the stories together and make sure it fits into 8 minutes? But thank you, for the opportunity to just expand a little bit, right? Sometimes when you go through certain life traumas, so to say, traumatic events, the only thing that keeps you going in that time, at least for me, what kept me going in those moments of loneliness and uncertainty was just the hope that I would have the opportunity to use my story to empower other people. Somehow that was a clarity for me. I don't know why it just was clear for me in the moment when I was going through that. I was just a first-year student in my PhD, right? I had literally just started, so I had not done anything, but that was the moment when the idea was born in my mind that I was going to graduate as valedictorian. I don't know how I got that idea. I was like, okay, I'm going to finish and I'm going to stand in the stage in front of thousands of people and I'm going to share with them this story of resilience and survival. And that's going to keep me going. I think what really helped me was being able to paint a different picture in my mind. So I could literally get lost in that vision, just being able to visualize a different outcome. So even though I was in pain, even though I was going through, recovery was brutal. I had an abdominal surgery. So that was such a terrible recovery time for me. But somehow I could just get lost in thoughts of telling myself that, oh, it's just going to end up glorious. You're going to finish, you have the opportunity, your story will literally become a blueprint for another woman, for another international student, for another person who is lost and feeling like they are by themselves and nobody is there to help them through their difficult situation. And I think just that ability to visualize a different outcome it's truly kept me going. And like I mentioned before, being able to tell myself this is a chapter of the book, this is just a part of the journey. I just have to keep going. I just have to keep moving forward. And it made a difference. And I think resilience is something you build over time. And sometimes I look back at some of the rejection I had even faced before coming here, and I feel like it played a part in the story, because you've already been through so much, and because you were able to survive that, then you have better faith in yourself. You reach the point where you begin to establish some level of self-trust, some level of believing that even though people look at you and think you're crazy, because I literally went back to my classes 10 days after my surgery. I was like, I have to go back and continue my classes online. And people are like, you are crazy. I don't know what else to do. I needed to channel my pain and suffering to something else. That's all I knew how to do, was to keep moving. I could not let myself stop. I could not let myself fall apart. And I did end up finish as valedictorian. And I did end up stand on that stage to share that story. And that's something that I don't know why I thought about that, right? In that moment, that was just a new student who, there was no reason to imagine that in a school of over 70,000 students, I was going to be selected to do the commencement speech. There was no reason to think that, but just having that purpose, I think it gave meaning to my suffering, so to say. Just telling myself that there's going to be a bigger outcome. Other people are going to be blessed from what has happened to you. What has happened to you happened just so that you can become a blessing to others. You can be a reason. You can become an inspiration to tell somebody, if I went through this and I'm still here, you don't have any reason to give up. You just have to hold on a little longer. You just have to kind of push through the pain, and suddenly you look back and it's not as painful anymore, right? You just heal gradually every day. So it's about focusing on the healing and staying committed to that idea that this is just going to become something you will look back on, and it's not suddenly not so painful. It's suddenly a story that you can sit down and talk about without tearing up, or without feeling so broken all about it. So I think just that, if I should sum it up in one word, I would say the power to visualize a different outcome gave me the strength to keep going. Just the fact that I could just visualize a different outcome. That was powerful for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amaka. I cannot imagine how many women who are going to look back on this story that you've shared today, the power of resilience, and be able to take courage from there and run on their race. And yes, it's good to visualize, because we are spirit beings. The power to do, to be, and become is already inside of us, but we have to tap into that, because before anything happens in the physical, it already happens in the spiritual. But it takes somebody who is big on their mindset to understand that that's the way it works, and that's how results are created. Thank you so much for the stories. And ladies, I really want to say I honor every single one of you guests who has been here with us. You spend 90 minutes of your time on a Saturday night where you're supposed to be maybe, watching your favorite Netflix show, or, going on a date or something. And you were here just to encourage and support us. Just listen to our story. And so I ask, do any of you have a question? You can now turn on your camera and ask your question, or mute yourself and ask your question. And I'm sure any one of these ladies, they've got expertise, because now they're SMEs. They didn't have to go to school. Remember, all of their life journeys that they've shared, none of them has told me. Even the one that said she didn't get a job as a supervisor, so she had to go get a degree, she still hasn't told me yet if she has to use the degree to do nothing. But all of these ladies, they all shared all the silent certification they've gotten through lived life experiences. All the black belt, the gold belt, and all the green belt of the world, they have acquired it. And so if you have a question, this is your time to ask away. Going once?
I don't have a question, but more of a comment.
Can we see your face, Miss Joyce, please? Can we see your face?
Oh, no. You ladies were awesome. Each story was definitely an encouragement. Nishaya and Kim talking about the financial wellness. Kimberly knows how that hits home very well, because I'm one of her students, and she's working with me with financial wellness now. And it's, you don't think about it until you're where you are. But when you have someone that can help you to see things different, it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah.
And I just thank you all for your stories. It was really awesome and touching. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. Thank you so much for borrowing your daughter this evening. Thank you. Anyone else has something to say? Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next stage to close us out if you don't have anything. Okay, I don't see anything. Regina, is there something in the chat that I missed?
No, ma'am, I didn't see anything in the chat, but I would like to say to the speakers, I mean, nobody has to take advantage of it if they don't want to, but you guys are open to ask a question if you have a question to someone else whose story resonated with you or anything of that nature as well. Just, I don't want you to feel like the speakers cannot ask.
Yeah. And then Marlene, why we're doing that, if you can help us take a screenshot like you did last year, that would be great because you are best at doing that.
No problem.
But let us know, tell us when you want to do that so that we'll be ready to smile and
All right, everybody can start pose a smile. I'll do the picture for you. Let me know when you're ready. Beautiful smiles. Ready? Okay, I'll do one more just for good measure. And I'll send you both pictures and the email. I'll send to Bridget and Bridget will send to everybody. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
That smile. All right, good to go. I got it.
Yes. So if we have to say, give feedbacks, what would be, everyone, just share. There's no any order. What will be your biggest takeout from today? Even when you were sharing your story, how did you feel? Let's talk about you first. How did you feel sharing your story? There's no order. Anybody go first.
I personally feel, I'm Madeline. I personally feel, because I'm new to sharing my story, I feel like this is something that I need to start doing more often. So when I share it, I can flow, it flows. And I can say the things that really matter, that I want it to come out like just naturally. You know what I mean? That's called practice, right?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. 30 seconds. You did that. Thank you. Any other person?
For me, it was just like thinking about how I have different aspects of my stories that's yet to be shared. Some people know me as the AI person, but just to know the background of it, just to have that opportunity just to share, okay, there is a foundation that got me to the Marlene that you see here. The Marlene that you see here is not the same Marlene that was here years ago. I have years under my belt, although I look and probably sound young, but the experience that there. So just to be able to hear other women's stories and then be able to share my stories was a breath of fresh air for me, because now you don't have that space to share it. And then to hear that, even when think Miss Michelle, when you said there's no words for a parent that lost a child, and I had to reflect like, yes, there's no words. No one know how to explain that, and just that resonated with me too, because I did lose my first, and then having the second one here, so it's just like a whole. Thank you for sharing your story. Mm-hmm.
For me, it took a long time for me to reach a point where I could share my story and just share it without apologies or without thinking that somebody would be offended or affected. I just reached the point where I could just own it. It took me 2 years, really. It took a whole 2 years for me to process it in my mind, to say, if God allowed me to go through this, if faith allowed me to go through this, there have to be a higher purpose. It cannot be something I put in my back pocket and say, oh, I have to be modest. It's my life. I carry the scar and I just have to reach the point where I begin to use it as a tool to empower, and not a story to share for you to say, oh, sorry that you went through that. Oh, no, that's not the point. The point of sharing is just so that it empowers you in your own journey and in your own challenges, that whatever it is, it's probably not as hard as you think, and there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. But unfortunately, sometimes we have to go through the tunnel to get through the light, right? As much as we wish we could have the light at the beginning of the tunnel, sometimes it's just at the end of it. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to connect with all of you and, be in this space to just share again, to just say, I'm just happy. I'm just excited. Thank you for inviting me, Bridget. Yes, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. What's
Yeah.
next?
I'll share. Yeah, so I'll share, just pointing back to what you mentioned, we all talked about all these amazing things we did, including myself, but how you mentioned she got the associate's degree, but she didn't say what she did with it. It didn't matter. I didn't. And I think sometimes as women, as powerful as we are and how much we show up and, sometimes we throw our accolades around and we hold them close to us like it really determines our worth and our value, when a lot of times it has nothing to do with that. Because when we show up and we're like, oh yeah, like I know I'm capable of doing this thing, just show me how to do it, or I'm going to keep practicing this until I perfect it or get to a place where I can support others. No one's really asking for your credentials unless you're probably a surgeon. And even sometimes we don't even ask our surgeon for their credentials. We just let them cut us open, because we trust that you belong here. So, I'm glad that you pointed that out, but it's also being able to share our stories. It takes us healing through them and giving ourselves grace and allowing ourselves to say it was okay. You know what I mean? I'm not going to keep beating myself up about that thing or keep holding on to that thing, because if not, we won't be able to tell our stories to empower others to work through what they're working through. So again, thank you for this opportunity to share, but it's definitely, I hope we empower other women to share their story and not be ashamed or embarrassed about maybe the things that they're going through that they're still holding on to because they think, what are they going to think about me? Well, really, we need to hear it so we can hear, okay, I'm not alone. I can do this. I can go through this with someone else.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, that was definitely the big part. Just coming into this space and taking up space and being okay with taking up space. And I just feel like we as a society, maybe it's women, maybe it's just people in general, that are humble, you don't feel like it's okay to take up space and just speak and talk about your story, and just share, because it's just like, oh, do I have something important to share? And that sort of thing. And it's just like, you never know what you share, what someone else is going to glean from it, how it may impact someone else's life. So that's why I'm just big on just being obedient and just going. And it's very hard being a recovering perfectionist. It's just like, and go with the flow. And it's like, it's okay to not be in control of the situation or not know the outcome, because like, that's the beauty of it all. So, and it was definitely a pleasure to be in the space and to hear the amazing stories and just a little glimmer of you ladies' lives and what's going on, what you've done, what you've overcome. And it just makes me excited to know what's to come and to be tapped in, to kind of be like, okay, well, here's another queen that I can connect with in this queendom, to just continue to build up myself as well as to build up, other ladies.
Thank you. Wow, that's amazing. Oh my goodness. Any other person? Are we
Yes.
done? Oh, good. Ooh, Queen Billy. Queen Billy.
So it was great to hear about everyone and the connections. That everybody's story has resonated in some way with me, and it was amazing. Thank you all for sharing your stories and being vulnerable. I know it's very vulnerable coming out and sharing that and sharing it to the world, and how difficult that can be. I know I'm still trying to navigate that and my nervousness and all that too, but I want to thank you again. And this was amazing.
Thank you, Billy. I agree with you. Okay, we have one more
Yeah.
person. Okay,
Yeah, now
Michelle,
I gotta share since everybody else share. Okay.
your takeaway and how did you feel?
All right. Okay. So what I really glean is from everyone's story. When you sit with your story, you'd be like, oh, woe is me. But tonight reminded me of the amazing resilience and persistence and consistency. And I am just looking at how everybody would have gone through something hard, yet come out on the other side so beautiful. It is like God created these amazing butterflies from the ugly caterpillar. I shouldn't call him ugly because he has a purpose. But anyway, but from the caterpillar of what was hard and the cocoon of what was hard, I just love how everything was birthed beautiful in each individual lady. And I just love it. Thank you for sharing your stories. And thank you for Bridget and Regina and Billy for inviting me. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, man. Michelle, you always bring out the best in me and the laughter in me too. Oh, sister, okay, you get me all the time. Well, I'm going to share too. Amaka, you understand this. One thing that my culture taught me is you go through what you go through. Who wants to hear it? When I was abused, I can sit here now and tell you all, oh, I was abused in spite of all my education, my exposure. I'm from 3 continents of the world and all of that. Why did you allow yourself to be abused? You can ask me again. But in my culture, you go tell another woman that you were abused, they'll tell you, shush, what is the big deal? After I got beaten up yesterday. That's what you get. So what's the point? You sit down there and begin to think, what's the point of you go sharing your story to someone anyway? You just keep it to yourself and just live through it. But you know what? All sitting here today, 8 powerful queens sharing stories. One thing that I took away is that I get to know you more. I get to understand what makes you vulnerable. I get to see the behind the scenes of every single one of you. I get to feel and hear the unshed tears. You took me to your bedrooms. You took me to your private spaces in your story. That's how much I bonded with you when you were sharing your story. And I must say, I celebrate every one of you for doing that. How do I feel? Oh, girl, I'm getting ready to go fix another girl's crown right away tomorrow, even tonight. That's who I am. I was born for this, to fix every woman's crown and to make every woman know that you too watching, you too, you are bold, you are brave, and most importantly, you are beautiful. And so this is where we are going to call it a night, because it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. From the beautiful prayer by Michelle to the love that we showed onto Regina for the loss of her cousin, and you find out what I said in the beginning. Your story resonates with someone else and you hear yourself say, oh, me too. Me too. And now, if you are watching with me, I want you to plant your feet firmly on the ground and take up your right hand and place it on your left shoulder. And take out your left hand and put it under the way around. And this is me giving you a squeezy, super hug. Since I cannot be in your bedroom right now, your space is your living room to give that hug to you, here is me doing that. I know that I love you. I am here for you. And I will support you any way, any shape, any form, anyhow. Just call on me. And I'll be there. God bless you. Thank you. This is when we start dancing some music, All right, ladies. So Marlene will do the next step. She will help us put the beautiful things together, and she will email it to me, and I will be emailing to them. Or I will send you Marlene's email. I will send all of you Marlene's email if you give me permission. Or if you prefer for me to do the share, it's still okay. But if you give me permission, I can send all your emails to Marlene, and then when it's ready, she can share it out. Or another thing, Marlene, you can put it in a Google Drive. You're muted.
So I guess when I don't know when you have time, we can hop on together and we'll discuss how we're gonna do that. See which way we're
You
to
know,
see.
I have your time. I have time for you. All right, ladies, it's been a very long day. My day started at 6:50 a.m. and I had to jump on a speaking engagement at 7 a.m. So now I'm gonna go call it a night and go sleep. And until we meet again next year, same time, don't turn the dial. I love you. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Yeah, bye-bye. Nice meeting all of you.
And don't forget,
night.
connect with Ochona on the Zoom. All your links are there, just connect. And if you need anybody's information that's not there, reach out to me and I will connect you.
After the chat.
Bye-bye.
In the live? Did you end the live on YouTube?
Yeah, it's been live on YouTube.
Or did you end it? Did you end it?
Okay, no, let me end it now.